And we're live.
Are we live? We are live. Welcome to the Shooter's Mindset, episode 296 with Tyler Frehner from the NRL. We're going to talk a little NRL22 tonight. So our co-host, I'm Jennifer Seymour, and our co-host Greg Cannon is here. How's it going, Greg?
Hey, everyone.
And the guest of the hour is Tyler Frehner.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No problem. We enjoy having you. This is our second time having you, actually.
That's correct.
For anybody that missed the first show or can't remember, or anybody unfamiliar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in precision rifle shooting.
Well, so a little bit about me. First off, I'm a family man, got a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful daughters. Second off, I'm a fire captain. That's what I do that actually pays money. And then after that comes shooting. I started shooting precision rifle in about 2011, I think. I try to be as helpful and as involved as I can be in anything that I do. So, I showed up the first match. I tried to help out, tried to help spot. That quickly moved me into a range officer position. Before long, I was kind of in the club leadership. From there, we went on and started putting on national level matches through Sin City Precision in Las Vegas. And I was the match director for those national level matches. Gentleman by the name of Travis Ashita filmed those matches. He owns a company called Contingency X, and one day called me up and was like, "Hey man, let's do our own thing. Let's do our own league." And so that's how the National Rifle League started. It started out with a league of center fire shoots, and has been quite successful. I think that's in its 5th season or 4th season. I guess this season is a little bit messed up.
Wow, has it been that long?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, started in 16, and then shortly thereafter got the idea for NRL22. Border Wars was somewhere in the middle, and now NRL22X. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. I love the NRL22 because of being able to get people involved in it. And I know, I've heard you and Janae both talk a lot about that. Y'all go to a match with a rifle and like everybody on your squad shoots it because you can do that with 22, and you can get new people that don't have the equipment that want to learn it into it. So I love the whole concept of the NRL22. It's just a fun match.
It is. It's really been. I guess if you could say that I didn't expect this, that's absolutely the case. It really didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to. It's way bigger than I thought it would ever be. And we're only starting our 4th season this next month. But yeah, 22 is it's such a fantastic way to introduce people to precision rifle. Like you said, I got people that have been talking forever about wanting to come out and learn precision rifle. And I'm like, hey man, it's on you. You show up on the 4th Saturday, and you'll shoot my gun and you'll do it. And again, 10 people in a squad, my wife has a rifle, I have a rifle, and I'll have 8 people that have never shot precision rifle before, and they can just shoot my gun one after the other, because you'll never wear out a 22. And now, all of them are hooked. So it's like being a crack dealer, just passing it out. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome. Get them addicted, and then they can move up if they want, or they can stay where they are.
I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I love that kids flock to this.
Yeah. And really, the National Rifle League is a 501c3 not-for-profit. And our mission statement is to increase participation in precision rifles, specifically amongst children and ladies. And that's really why the NRL22 was started, because the centerfire just wasn't attracting as many ladies and what we call young guns as we wanted to. And the NRL22 has certainly helped us accomplish that mission. So we're very happy with it.
It's definitely a great gateway. You look at people like Allison Zane that started, just went to NRL22 and just started hammering people. I mean, making grown men cry. And now she's jumped over to centerfire and the big guns, and I think she's still holding her own pretty well with those. So it's kind of neat to watch that, people like that do that transformation, just going through it.
Yeah, I mean, My first introduction to Allison was at our second national championship, which I was the match director for. And yeah, my buddy James Jeffries was telling me, like, hey, how's it going? He's like, pretty good, but dude, Allison's killing us. I'm like, okay, who's that? And I didn't know who Allison was. There's so many people there, 120 people. And he's like, no, seriously, like Allison's killing it. And I didn't know who it was. And then at the end of the day, I saw the results, and Allison Zane's in second place. And there's good shooters at the national championship. I mean, like Paul Dallin, James Jeffries, Chris Tressler. I mean, just to make a few legitimate hardcore center fire guys who are bad to the bone. And here's Allison Zane in second place. I'm like, all right, who's this? I went up and talked to her, and she's like a 12-year-old girl. I couldn't believe it. And then ended up finishing third overall. I mean, just what an amazing thing. She's just a cool little girl, man.
Yeah, it's a big jump, I think, for people to get into, center fire, long range rifle, because it's just expensive, like you talk about the barrels and all that. So talking about, like, I don't know that I would put that much money into a 12-year-old's gun, not knowing if they were going to like it or, whatever. So yeah, I love that the 22 is there, and it really translates over well. Like at the last NRL22 match that he had, we had I had a squad of beginners that were with me, and I was trying to teach them and help them. And I was like, telling them, like, I know that this is not a lot of recoil and you can cheat, get away with it, but like learn it right now so that if you decide to move on, it'll translate over, but it really does all translate over. I love the whole concept, and have it on a small range. Doesn't have to be a huge range.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is we don't have many places where we can go and shoot center fire long range near us. And it's like I wanted to shoot more, I wanted to shoot more. And well, I made a match, and it was really easy because it's like here's a box with your targets. Here's your stages. Go.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you both for being one of our match directors. We really appreciate it. Ultimately, that's where the burden is, and where our success comes from is you guys stepping up and doing it.
He does all the work to it. I just come and teach everybody.
I mean, I do the Facebook and schedule everything, but then I go like, hey guys, listen, your daughter's interested in this. Listen, I will pair her up with the number 5 female precision shooter in the world.
Hell yeah.
And she'll give her some one-on-one coaching during the match. So you make it really easy. And I'd like to say thank you for kind of putting this all together, because honestly, being a match director, even at such a small match, has been one of the most rewarding things I've done in shooting. Just being able to, bust my butt, getting everything together, trying to make sure it works perfect. Then after the match, you got everybody that's all smiles and thanking you and, saying, all right, when's the next one? What can I do? There's nothing else like that feeling.
Cool, man. That's very cool.
So what gave you the idea for NRL22? I know y'all started with NRL. What gave you the idea to morph over to that and now into the 22X?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with how NRL22 came about, if you don't mind. So we did the NRL, and it was working out great. And the thing about the NRL is, we pretty much demand of our match directors that, hey, yeah, we're putting on a rifle match, but this is an entire event, and we demand that they put on like a social gathering on Saturday. And we've really developed a really nice community where everybody gets together, and yeah, man, we're competing against each other, but we're having a good time doing it. We go bowling, we go karaoke. We've done some wacky stuff that has really, turned it into a community. So one of my match directors by the name of Jeff Oder was like, hey bro, you should do this in 22s. And so that made my mind start working. And again, our mission statement is to involve kids and women, and 22s just clicked. It made sense. What a non-threatening way to get involved in something that you have interest in. So I just started thinking through the whole thing, and I can't make a center fire match and put out a course of fire and send it out and say, hey, anybody can run this, because nobody has 1,000-yard range that's the same as somebody else's. And for the most part, most communities don't have 1,000 yards. So in my mind, I said, most towns, most cities have 100-yard range. So if we can just make the course of fire standard, make the target package standard, make the barricades simple, affordable, and standard, then anybody can pick this up, be a match director, and put on a shoot for their community. So that was kind of my concept that I brought to Travis Ashita. And, you know, Travis Ashita and Brittany Weldon, they back me up on everything I do. It's really weird. I mean, you two realize by now how computer stupid I am, but I get a concept up and I tell them what I want to do. And then the next day it's digital, it's beautiful. And the, you know, the shooting community is informed. So yeah, I just had this little idea, and then, you know, Travis and Brittany really, you know, did their magic and hammered it home. So that's how the NRL22 came about. That's what it's about. If you want to know what an NRL22 course of fire looks like, NRL22.org has all of our courses of fire since our first season. You can get on there, take a look at what a course of fire looks like, and find a club near you to participate in.
Awesome. It really is just like anybody can take the instructions, and y'all make the stages already so they don't have to come up with that. I love that. I'm not very creative, so.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys are you adding additional courses of fire to the ones that we provide?
So my first 2 matches, I did 6 stages. I found some more targets in an old shed at the range, so I think I'm probably going to do 7 for our next one. Judging by all the comments of people in our group, everybody's ready to get back out on the range, so it might be our biggest match yet when we have our next one on June 13th.
Cool. So for those of you that don't know, the NRL22 puts out 5 courses of fire every single month. 2 are prone, 2 are barricade. Well, actually, one's barricade, one's positional, and then the 5th one can be anything that we want of those 3. And then we encourage our match directors to write additional courses of fire to suit their range. So if you guys have a range that goes out to 200, 300, 400 yards, make a longer range. If you have advanced targets like a mover, or if you want to have a pistol stage, do whatever you want. The 5 stages go for points for NRL22, and then whatever else you can dream up to keep your shooter base happy and be inventive and creative past what we give you, we absolutely encourage.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one thing I wish I had was longer than 100 yards. I want to say our range goes out to maybe 110. So, you know, not a huge difference, because, man, it's fun shooting about 350 with the 22.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Let's
do some shout outs. Hello, Prentice. You can stop blowing up the comments now. We all love you, Prentice. But Greg's mad because you never say hi to him. You only say hi to me.
Yeah, come on, man. I was at your wedding driving back from Kroger and live Facebook. Let's see. Who else said hi? Dominic said beer 30. Steve Lowe said hammer time. Prentice Wink said a whole lot of stuff. Ryan Hay saw Prentice's comment. Allison Zane's here.
Hey, Allison, we were just talking about you. You'll have to rewind.
Let's see.
Is reading hard tonight?
There's a lot. Yes, it is.
Like you're not saying anything.
May I?
Yes, go for it.
Give a shout out to Anthony Cruz. Thanks for having me on your show again, even though it's your birthday. Happy birthday. And I hope you enjoy it, man.
Woo! Happy birthday, Anthony.
That's right. Anthony is
drinking,
missing because it's his birthday and his wife was doing something for him. Actually, it's tomorrow, but she was taking him out tonight, I think. So we let him have the night off.
Ooh, Swanee. Greg Cannon Swanee's is donating you a JC Steel Targets Complete 22 set. Swanee, I love you, man. Such a nice guy.
I got to hang out with Swanee one time. He's a cool guy, man.
Dude, Swanee is always fun to hang out with. And I was already going to go see him because if you don't know, if you're going to the match at K&M this weekend, the first couple people there that buy stuff, you get a free hoodie or jersey with any purchase. So if you're at K&M, go see Swanee like super fast and buy something.
Swanee and I almost died together in Wisconsin.
Oh, God.
When we had to hike like a mile. like 1.1 mile with our gear and we got lost. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But anyway.
So anyway, with the this whole COVID-19 thing going on, how has that kind of affected you guys? Or have matches still been run? Have many been canceled? And what do you guys kind of see getting back to normal?
Okay, so good question, and to hell with COVID-19. But anyway,
Amen.
So the NRL22 is all run by individual match directors like you guys, and everybody has different rules in their state, in their community, and how they interact and deal with these things. So to say that NRL22 has been different across the board is an understatement. A lot of these quote unquote matches is a dude who has a cornfield and 10 buddies to start with that just go out and put on an NRL22 match, and then it grows and grows and grows. So a lot of people are participating following their local municipalities rules. But I mean, they're at the peak there. I think we have something like 110 clubs that are registered for NRL22 for this last season. And at our height, I think 70 something clubs submitted scores for one particular month. That was the highest. And that was the highest. And then it started to kind of decline as the COVID-19 thing went on. But regardless, I believe Travis told me the other day that we've averaged 50 since it's gone on. So, some of them are out there with masks and you see them, they're 10 or 15 feet apart until the course fire goes down, come up by themselves, with an RO 10 feet away, making sure that they're safe and still running their matches. So, again, we have been accommodating to the NRL22 match directors. Just follow your laws, follow your rules. And if you've got to come back next season, that's perfectly fine. As far as the National Rifle League goes, those events are much larger with, 100 to 150, 200 people even. Some of those have been rescheduled. So we kind of took this as an opportunity, something that in the NRL Centerfire we wanted to do for a minute, is we really don't like the January to December schedule. It's just kind of weird, I mean, most precision rifle shooters are hunters. And so to put on a match, and the hunting seasons are so different around the country, to put on a match between September to like late November is really, really awkward, because some guys like, yeah, dude, I just qualified for the national championship, but guess what? I got a bull elk tag that I've been waiting for 15 years that I got in Nevada, and I'm going to hunt, So hunting season's weird. And then you go into November or ultimately December, which is what we have been doing. And now half the country, it's so dang cold that they can't even get out to participate. And we're thereby forced to have our national championship in the South, which is typically Texas. So it's just kind of a weird deal. So, even though it's going to, we're going to lose a substantial amount of money in membership fees, but even though we're a not-for-profit, we still have an office. We still have 2 media guys that we pay and utilities and all that stuff. We said, hey, our membership is going to continue on, and we're going to change it to a year. It's going to be a year and a half, and we're going to wrap up our schedule in May. And, any matches that want to reschedule May, if they need to cancel, then we'll help them cancel it and get the shooters their money back. So yeah, this is nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault about this COVID-19 thing. And so we're not putting it on our match directors. We're not putting it on our shooters. We're just trying to be as supportive as we possibly can be, and get through it.
I like it. It's hard to have finales in like Thanksgiving, Christmas time.
Yeah. So, again, this is a weird deal, but I think that ultimately having our championship in May or June means, we can now have a championship in Minnesota. We can now have a championship in New England or Washington or wherever up in the north where it would typically be, freezing outside and in December. So I think it's actually making, lemonade out of lemons. So we're actually pretty happy with that aspect of it.
I kind of like it, because the end of the year is just hard, and it's like, oh, you don't know if you're going to make the finale till the last minute, and then it's either November or December. It's just, yeah. I like the idea of moving it around. Then it'll be kind of like the school schedule anyway.
Yep.
Jen loves shooting in the cold too.
Oh, I cannot stand the cold. I'd rather it be 100 degrees than be 25 degrees. And what's worse is like 30 and raining. That's awful.
Yeah, that's hell.
You know, we're in the desert, and I don't got humidity like you guys do, but we get 115 degrees. I'll take cold more than I'll take that, especially being a fireman. You know, 115 degrees, wearing basically snow clothes, and then getting a legit burner really, really sucks. So maybe I'll retire someplace colder, but I respect that.
I like moderation.
Mm-hmm.
So the new NRL22X series, how is this different from NRL22? What exactly is it?
Okay,
give us all the details.
So, you know, I told you that I was wrong about a great many things. I thought that NRL 22 was basically going to be our NRL center fire shooters using this as a means to practice. You know, basically, I thought there was going to be the same pool of shooters, and we were dead wrong. You know, Travis and I never saw this coming. We were dead wrong. These shooters they've come from, you know, either another shooting sport like pistol or 3-gun, or maybe just always shot guns and wanted a way to compete, and now they got an avenue to do it. And this is what they do. And some of our shooters, you know, I'll go out to our shoot in Vegas, and they'll have a $3,000 Voodoo with a $3,500 Night Force. You know, they're not messing around. This is their deal. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go to a local center fire match, and that same dude will have like an $800 you know, rifle with a $400 scope. I'm like, bro, your center fire gun is, you know, a quarter the price of your rimfire. And they're like, no, you don't understand, man. I'm here to win NRL 22. So anyway, NRL 22 has been great, but this new group of shooters is constantly wanting to push the envelope. And that's cool. But again, our goal is to ensure that the kids and the women show up and participate. And it's really, really challenging to write 5 courses of fire where a really good shooter like yourself can show up and do well, but not clean it. But at the same time, I got to have an 8-year-old kid who's never done this before show up and hit steel, hear that sound of the steel ring, have a good time, not be defeated, not go home and be like, this sucks. I want to get back in front of my PlayStation, and I don't ever want to do that again. Mm-hmm. So, you know,
There's really some grown men that just come and just want to hit some steel and not suck.
Hey, you know what?
Hey, that was me at my first match.
Absolutely. So, you know, I guess you want to say kids or you want to say new shooters, whatever. It's a balancing act of keeping both happy. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we've limited equipment, and we can't really go past 100 yards, because if we do, I'm going to lose like 70% of my clubs. I can't do that either. So, you know, people are wanting more equipment. And the thing about equipment is if you take a newer shooter and you just give them one bag, and then you take a really good shooter like a Jake Vibbert or a John Pinch, and you give them unlimited equipment, the difference between giving John Pinch, Jake Vibbert one bag and then a new shooter with the same thing, if you give both of them unlimited equipment, it's a huge gap. And, you know, those guys are just going to clean everybody's clock. So we were thinking of a way to continue the evolution of NRL 22 while keeping both groups of shooters happy, keeping the experienced shooters happy and challenged, keeping the new shooters hitting steel. So ultimately, you know, I was racking my brain around it. Travis calls me one day. He's like, hey, man, I think we're thinking about this the wrong way. Let's not change NRL 22. Let's keep it the same. Instead, let's just do a different series, and it's basically a Border Wars match, and a match director can do whatever they want. It'll be a one-day shoot. The minimum, what we came up with was the minimum will be 8 stages and 120 rounds fired. That's the minimum in a 1-day shoot. But it's like regular center fire. You show up, you don't know what the match director is going to do. Whatever their range has as far as distance, as far as targetry, as far as barricades, they can do it. Field style matches, square range matches, whatever that MD can come up with. And what's really interesting and funny, like, Jen, I know you get this, man. Like, I don't have to explain to you what that means. We're going to do a 1-day shoot. You get it. But to shooters who came up through the NRL22, they're used to having the course of fire a month in advance. They're used to, understanding exactly what they're going to get. They're used to 5 stages, 50 rounds fired, and that's it. So when we introduced the concept, I don't think we really did a good enough job of explaining it, because to me, coming from center fire, it was obvious. But to a lot of these shooters, these new shooters, they simply couldn't wrap their head around it. So it took a little bit more, information.
Dry fire the stages for a month before they can shoot them.
and they do.
I know.
I've never set up an NRL22 stage with my target pack beforehand. No, never.
Hey, man, I know you're making a joke, but we also with JC Steel, we sell the targets. I mean, you can get your targets wherever you want. We provide plans to make them. We want it to be accessible, but we do sell them with Jake Vibert through JC Steel, and they sell a lot of targets. And yeah, hey, a lot of them are to the match directors, but you have no idea how many individual shooters are going out and buying it and running the stages either on their own or just to practice. Again, this is its own animal. It's its own. It is what it is. This is the biggest precision rifle discipline in the world.
Yeah, it's awesome. I know a few of my guys from my club have already went and purchased them, and I'm jealous of a couple of them. They're like, yeah, I just set it up in my backyard. I'm like, bite me.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Me too. That would be so nice. I'd probably come home and just shoot a course of fire every day after work if I could. But one of my neighbors would be really cool with that and would probably come over and do it with me. But I don't think the local police would like it very much.
Well, especially now, I have a little suppressor coming. I got a notification today or yesterday that it's going to be here tomorrow at my FFL.
22 suppressor.
Where's mine?
Yes, I don't know, but I just got I didn't even know that Greg sent it, and I got a UPS notification, and I was like, oh, that's my 22 can.
Yeah, because see, like I have this beautiful little spot right here. Sorry, confusing. Right here, missing something, and it's going to be so awesome when it shows up. I can't wait for my GSL suppressor for that.
Speaking of GSL suppressors, Kevin just sent me an announcement for TSM to read that GSL Technology Suppressors is hosting a range day, demo day in Augusta, Georgia.
Woohoo!
They're going to be demoing GSL suppressors and giving away a free Woodland 22 cal suppressor during the event. Registration is open. The dates are to be determined depending on a little minor pandemic. And there's a registration link here. I'm going to send it to you, Greg, so you can get it in our comments for me.
All right.
So yeah, that would be an awesome way to try out. If you're near us, near me and Greg in the Augusta area, even Atlanta, you can drive over here. You can try out some suppressors and maybe win one. So it'll be a neat little closed event that if you register for, you can come and try them out. So definitely a good way to do that. So what is the ballpark cost going to be for the matches?
Oh, for NRL22X.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we haven't really put, that's up to the match directors. What I refused to do when I first started the NRL with Travis, what I told him is like, hey man, we can put guidelines, we can put parameters, but I will not tell my match directors what to do. I will not tell them how to do it. NRL22 is a little bit different. If you look at the rules and regulations, everything that has an asterisk next to it is things that you must do to comply with the national rules. But I really don't like telling an individual such as yourselves who are busting their butt to put on a match for us and for your shooting community, and basically micromanaging and telling them how to do it. So to answer your question, it could be anything. For the most part, a Border Wars match is right about $80 for a 1 day match. I would assume that would be about what these guys are going to charge. It's a 1 day match. Some of them are gonna have a course of fire and lunch. Some of them are gonna have a course of fire, lunch, and a rib dinner. So I really can't say. There's gonna be a gap, and we're gonna leave that up to them. And so I guess that's kind of a crappy answer to your question, but it's the match directors what they want to do and what they think is worth.
Yeah, and from looking at, I want to say there's been one match posted so far. I want to say that was about 82. Okay, I saw one about $80-ish. So it's under $100 for at least 8 stages.
Correct, yes, sir. 8 stages, 120 rounds fired is the minimum. Thank you for bringing that up. We have two matches. There's 31 on the schedule, but we have 2 matches that are open for registration right now. One is Jake Vibert's match. It's going to be, they're both the same date. Off the top of my head, it's June 12th, I think. And Jake Vibert's match is going to be the day before his 2-day center fire match in Washington. And then Justin Carbone and his co-match director, her name is Ruth, they're up in Minnesota on the same day. And both of those matches are on the website right now, NRL22.org for registration.
Nice. I was about to ask you where the schedule is posted. And so I think I read somewhere there's a way to qualify for the NRL22 championship by shooting 22X matches.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So I should say that the NRL22 and the NRL22X are the same membership. So you purchase one membership, you can participate in every NRL22 event that's at your local, or even for that matter at the next local and the next one. Some of these guys will shoot like 4 a month. But also that membership allows you to gather points from the NRL22X. So you can do it either way. 50% of qualifications are going to come from each league. 50% from NRL22, 50% from NRL22X. NRL22X is going to be really similar to the National Rifle League in that you go to a shoot, you compete against the shooters or at the event, and you get a certain number of points depending on your placement in the match and your score versus the winner of the match. And your top 2 scorers of the season go to qualify for the national championship. National championship this next year is going to be put on by one of our veteran match directors by the name of Chaz McCrander in Nebraska. The guy just kills it. He puts on a great match. And whether you qualify through your local club with NRL22 or through the national series, NRL22X, 50% of each is going to come from each of those 2 leagues and go to the national championship.
Very awesome. Very awesome. And so while we're on the topic, someone was asking me the other night, how's it determined in regular NRL22 how you qualify for the championship and which clubs are qualified for the championship and everything like that?
So that's not an easy question. Okay,
that's why I asked you.
So we're asking the man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hardly the man anymore. I got this team of guys behind me that just got my back 100%, and they do most of the heavy lifting, if I'm just being honest. But to answer your question, for the regular NRL22, you just never know what you're going to get. I mean, our first year, we had a good amount of participation for an entirely new concept. But we had a lot of clubs, something like 45 clubs participating. But when it comes to going and spending $10 or $15 at a local match, and now all of a sudden they're like, wait, I got to fly to Utah and then drive from an airport to some location and then participate in this match. And hey man, it costs the same amount from a match director's perspective to put on a 2-day center fire match as it does a 2-day rim fire match. But we realize this is a new concept to people, so we've been trying to keep the cost down. And the sign up for the national championship was like $200. That's what Ron did the first year. And you know, there wasn't a whole lot of people that wanted to do it. We only had like 75 signups. Now, after everybody saw what happened at the national championship, they were like, dude, Ron Young killed it. That match was amazing. I got to go next year. So then when I hosted it in Vegas with Colin and Jack Little, you know, we had a lot of people. I think there was like 200 that wanted to come from across the country, and I only had 120 spots that I could host. So to answer your question, what we do is we put out a survey from our match directors, and we say, how many shooters from your club actually want to spend the money to come out and do this? And then so they send us back none or 5 or 50. And then we figure out what ratio of participation that they have of memberships from their club versus the number of shooters they have in their club. And we give them a number. And like in Vegas last year, we were basically able to give every club 50% of their members the ability to come and shoot it. So again, it's going to come off of local club participation, meaning how many times do they compete throughout the year. And that kind of sucks a little bit because, you know, if you're in Minnesota and it's -20 in December and you're like, oh, dude, you know, I think maybe I'm going to take the month off. But hey, man, you know, the other clubs are pushing through it and doing it. But then it also comes back to membership, you know. Jim Cannon had a shoot the other day in Springville, Utah with 91 participants for an NRL22 match.
Wow.
So, hey, man, that guy's going to get more spots to the national championship than, you know, like my club, who usually averages about 20. That's just fair.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically it's a difficult question to answer, but it comes off of club participation and memberships because, hey, man, you know, if you got 35 guys showing up, but only 2 are members, we got to keep the lights on some way, and that's through membership. But if you don't want to buy membership and you want to show up to shoot, please, for the love of God and all things holy, do it. We don't need your money that bad. Just go shoot, go try it out, you know. But yeah, again, you know, man, we got an office building, we got lights, we got a couple staffers. These things aren't free, so membership's where it's at. NRL22.org.
I know I got at least one that I've seen his shooting recently, so he's probably going to be one of my guys to go, depending on how many spots I get. But he's ready for it. So
great.
Hopefully, we managed to have enough shooters, and it seems we're 2 matches in so far. We went from 17 to 39, and I got tons more people asking me. So
wait, you're saying you have 39 participants?
I think that's how many signed up for the last match.
Holy crap, bro! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
And I think we had a few drop out, but I want to say 39 is what was registered. But we're trying to grow it pretty good. We got a lot of shooters around here.
That's fantastic. I gotta say, I'm guilty of being lazy at my local club. You know, at the time I was the director of match operations for NRL and NRL22, and I have a full-time job and a family to take care of. Mm-hmm. And we put on our first shoot here in Vegas. And in my mind, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Sportsman's Warehouse. I'm going to go to Bass Pro Shop, put up flyers, you know, grow this thing. I went to our first match. We had 20 participants. I'm like, I'm good. So, I really didn't push it. We stayed about the same.
Well, the first one had about 20, and it's really just been word of mouth around here. A lot of people, I mean, we've had people travel to come to it.
Yeah, I got people coming from 2.5 hours away to it because there's not a lot of 22 around here.
I need to have that class. I've been saying there's a lot of beginners that want to learn, and I said I was going to do a class, and then COVID hit. So
yeah, I think we need to kind of reevaluate the schedule for the rest of the year, both for NRL22 and matches and all that stuff, and kind of see what we want to do.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. You know, the whole COVID thing, you asked me that question, which was a great question. One of the adjustments that we made, and I get this in my head that everybody is on Facebook and follows what's up, but you know, we put out emails and everything else, but the national championship is in Tennessee, hosted by my friend Mike Millican. That was supposed to have gone down actually next weekend. And due to COVID, we pushed it back to August. So, you know, for last season, that shoot's still happening, and it's still got room in it, and it's still going down. So Tennessee, August, I'm going, be there.
Awesome.
That's all.
Let me hit a couple lives real quick. Prentice wants to know, Tyler, how's Janae's TikTok videos coming?
Prentice.
Have you joined any of the TikTok videos? That's what we really want to know.
Yeah, I mean, they put one on, and I was sitting on the stairs, like looking at my phone, looking like a complete dork. And I think that's what he's talking about. Dude's always pitching me hell.
I think he's talking about Janae's dancing.
Yeah, her dancing.
Well, they did one dancing like with two of my kids. They're like doing their thing, and in the background, I'm sitting on the staircase, like, you know, being a complete doorknob. And so he's just being Prentice and giving me a hard time.
No.
Next time I see you, I'll try to rip off one of the straps of your overalls, man.
Oh God, please don't.
I love that guy. He's so awesome.
Just, you know, he's also giving Jen crap for sitting here doing this, reading text messages.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Prentice, you have blown up my notifications, and I can't go out of this screen because I'm trying to run the show. So I'm trying to look at all the 50 things you've tagged me in.
All right. So here's an actual productive question from Stuart, and I think a lot of the guys in the comments are helping him out. But Stuart wants to know what a good production rifle to start with is. My personal opinion is going to be the CZ457. Mine's not so much production-y anymore, but I got the CZ457 Pro Varmint Suppressor ready. I put an Athlon Argos BTR on it. Awesome freaking scope for the money. And that gun never missed a target. I did, but the rifle with some Lapua NRX in it never did. How about you?
No, I think you nailed it. You know, I mean, the thing is about NRL22 specifically is, and what we're talking about right now is base class. It's called production in other places. It's called base class here. You know, base class is an extremely important class. It's also the biggest pain in my ass that there is because, you know, it's a constant adjustment to keep it right. Ultimately, what base class is we got to have the MSRP. It's got to be something that you can look up on the internet so that a match director can figure out what's legal and what's not. So it's the MSRP as listed by the manufacturer for the rifle and the scope. And that figure has to come in at under $1,050 MSRP. Now, there's some other things that you can do to your base class rifle and it's still legal, like, for example, triggers. Of course, bipods. And then this year we have the addition of being able to install full-length either Picatinny or Arca rails. But, you know, the thing is this NRL22 game that we play, it does not require a massive amount of precision out of your equipment. It just doesn't. I mean, you know, I think that my team has gone below 1 minute of angle only a couple times in our 3 years. You know, 3 years of Courses of Fire, and a base class rifle can do that. It's just, you know, it's not that hard to achieve. And these guys, they get so upset. They're like, "Hey, I'm competing against a Voodoo with a Night Force on it," and I'm like, "You're competing against the shooter." Because your rifle is capable of that accuracy. So ultimately it comes back to the shooter. And there's so many different combinations. That CZ457 is just a fantastic rifle. Savage makes a lot of good guns. Ruger with their the good old 1022 is fantastic. The
1022 won my first match.
Heck yeah, baby. There's a lot of good guns that are just completely capable of dominating the base class. And then, you know, Vortex makes a good entry-level scope. SWFA makes a pile of them. Athlon makes a bunch of them that are fantastic. Bushnell is hungry, man. They want to be the king of this hill, and I think they're probably going to be. They're hungry for this NRL22 league, and I guess that's, you know, that's the answer to your question.
Awesome. That was a great answer.
Let's hit discount corner.
Oh, we do that, don't we?
We do. Greg, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. So the code Mindset10 in all caps, it'll save you 10% off on all phone scope products. If you're looking to make like a really awesome video for Instagram, with the people where it looks like they're shooting through their scopes. That's how you do that. Also an excellent training aid for helping out new shooters. You can get down next to them, see what they're actually seeing through their scope, and kind of help them out. Also, the May 2020 promo for GSL suppressors. It is purchase any GSL suppressor from SJ Solutions in the month of May and receive a single color Cerakote job for free. For additional information, contact Steve at info@sjsolutionsllc.com. Or if you forget what I said there, just shoot us a message. I'll send it over to you.
Sounds good. So discounts on my end, I've got Under Industries does awesome jerseys. You can get 10% off if you just message the Under Industries Facebook page and mention the Shooter's Mindset. Chris will give you 10% off. They're a veteran-owned company, great company. He's been donating masks all through this, so great give back to the communities. And you can also get 10% off at carbonarms.us on any carbon arms, shotgun shell caddies, ratchet belts, all the 3-gun stuff that you might want. And that is with the code TSM10. Tyler, do y'all have any discounts or anything? Putting you on the spot, but
discounts. No, NRL22 memberships open for the next season. We do have an updated target package that's also on the website, nrl22.org. And then if you have an older target package and you need to bring it up to date, there's an expansion package as well. How about that?
Sweet. Very nice. So what is new this season for NRL 22? And I say that like there's not much, and there's like a whole lot, I think. I hear there's some rule changes, just some different things. Can you go through? We kind of have a list here, but I won't ask you point on point. I'll let you just kind of tell us about the different changes.
All right, absolutely. So just so Prentice knows, I was looking down at my phone so I could access my notes on the rule changes. So there you go, Prentice. All right, so the first thing for this is for NRL 22. NRL 22X is whatever the match director wants to do. So this is for the NRL 22, and I gotta credit my team, my NRL 22 team, and just how fantastic they've been with really implementing some quality changes. So the first things first. In the past seasons, we've always had a paper stage, and the paper stage served several things. Number one, we didn't need as many steel targets, and it kept the entry fee, the entry setup fee for a new match director lower. Now we've chosen to get rid of that paper stage because it was almost like universally hated. Oh, look at the celebration guy. Yeah, it was almost universally hated. The match directors don't like it. It's a pain in the butt to set up.
It is a pain to score, although I think I won the paper target stage both times.
You think.
I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty sure she did, actually.
I'm pretty sure I did.
All right, I thought you were saying there was a disagreement. I got
no, I actually can't. Well, I take credit for it. I did not come up with this idea. I think it was Matt Sprouse that came up with it. All of my shooters went and grabbed. I'd get ginormous pieces of cardboard, put all the targets on it. The shooters went and grabbed it, laid it down on a bench, and they all scored them together. And I said, everyone go check your targets. Let me know if there's any discrepancies. And then all I had to do was enter in the numbers. I have a bunch of really awesome shooters at my match.
Brilliant. Cool. So, well, hey, man, we got rid of that. So no more.
A lot of people did hate it.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I just barely missed it, and if you miss a steel target, it's like, oh, I missed it. If you miss the 10 ring and you can see that you were 1/64th of an inch outside of the 10 ring, you're going to hate yourself.
You know what? I think that everybody's is like super stoked that we're getting rid of the paper stage, but it's not going to surprise. You can't make everybody happy. I've learned that a long time ago. But I think in a month or two, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, man, that paper stage was actually kind of fun. But anyway, so paper stage is gone. We had to shore up the standard target package in order to accommodate having a fifth steel stage. So there comes having to have an expansion pack for existing target packages to do that. So what this is going to do is not only are we going to get rid of the paper stage, which is going to be awesome, but we've added more steel targets. So the entire five courses of fire is going to be better in general. Now, one of the things that the paper stage did is it helped eliminate ties, and we needed a way to break ties. So what's going to happen is we're now going to have a timed stage, and you guys keep talking about your 22 suppressors, which are just about the coolest things on the planet, but 22s that are suppressed are about as quiet as a mouse fart, and so you really can't use a shot timer in order to keep track of it. Oh, right there. And also, how much is that thing? That's a nice shot timer. That's like 80, $100, something like that.
I don't know. I got it as a present, and it was like a super awesome present.
That's a nice shot timer, dude. I think it's like 80 or $100. So what we're going to do is you can use your iPhone, or if you're a weirdo and have the Android, you can use that, or a kitchen timer. And the RO tells the shooter to begin. They hit start on their timer. And now it's on the shooter. When the shooter fires the last round, they say stop. When they say stop, the RO hits the timer, and then you get credited 1/10 of a point for every second remaining. And it goes to the tenths. Okay. So let's just say that it's 120 round or 120 second course of fire, and you get done with 110.1 points. You had 9.9 seconds left. You're going to get a bonus of 0.99 points. That may sound a little bit confusing right now, but it's really not that hard. And once we start doing it, it's going to become very simple. So that's how we're going to break ties. So I'll bust through this because I know we're already kind of running late in the show. So that's the next thing is the time stages. Next thing is our standard barricade package has been increased. We're now doing a rooftop. So the match directors are going to have a rooftop. Rooftop stages are now going to become a course of part of the course of fire. I will say that for June, we are not needing the new targets. We are not needing the rooftop. I wanted to give my match directors a little bit of breathing room.
Thank you.
We won't do that till July. Hey, no problem. I got you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
There was a rule where you could utilize multiple rifles during the course of fire. Nobody liked that, so now there's only one rifle to be used. Air guns. I don't know. Have you guys had any air guns at your club?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So the air gun community was pretty stoked about this, but then ultimately we don't get a hell of a lot of participation. And I guess one of the reasons why is they just get stomped once we get past like 75 yards. So they were talking about how much better slugs are versus pellets, and they wanted to use slugs. So we had a guy, my friend by the name of Dave, along with Justin Jacobson of Utah Air Guns, figure out what would be a fair way to allow them to use slugs. So air guns can now use slugs that are 25 caliber, and I think it's 40 grains or less. I could be wrong about that. So there's that. The next thing is we have a seniors class. Now, one of my guys on my team, actually the guy that supported me since the beginning, Lynn Bigelow, he led this thing up. He was insistent that it would be 65 years or older. We ultimately decided on 60, which he wasn't happy with, but he insisted that since the young guns were called young guns, the kids were called young guns, that the senior class be called old guns. I think this might piss some old guys off, but we're gonna go forward calling it OGs. We think that's way cooler.
Yes.
Basically, the OGs are going to meet up with you, Greg, at the beginning of the course of fire, and all the OGs are supposed to be familiar with the course of fire prior to the match, and they're all going to meet up with you, and they're going to be like, hey, man, we don't want to shoot prone. We want to shoot off a bench. And if everybody agrees, then that's what you do. They say, hey, man, we don't like getting all the way down to that cinder block. We'd rather do X, Y, or Z because it's hard on my knees. So once the OGs and the match director decide, then the OGs can kind of shoot their own modified course of fire, and they can continue to participate. So I think that's actually a really cool class. Let's see. We've kind of ironed out. We had some problems this last season about bags and ARCA rail-mounted bags and different equipment. So we've kind of getting rid of the bags that are size of a volleyball or smaller, and we've changed it into equipment. and we have some guidelines on what equipment that can be used. Basically, you can use an ARCA plated bag if you want to, but we have a certain number of parameters for that. And actually, Janae just was my model and made a video to kind of show everybody what we're talking about.
So, hey, Jen, can I borrow your gamer plate again?
I already talked about the championship in Nebraska by Chaz McCrander, and that's it. That's the rule changes.
That's awesome. I'm kind of excited about the gamer plate. Like, I wouldn't call myself a huge gamer, but like those things are awesome, and I kind of like to. Like, this is a twin to my centerfire, except for the centerfire is a little bit longer and shoots a little bit larger of a projectile. But it's kind of cool to be able to practice that at an NRL22 match and then translate that into centerfire. I do have a question that was asked by Robbie. Where'd it go? Back to this year's championship in Tennessee. Are all spots taken? And if not, what steps can be taken to make it?
No. So I got to be honest, I don't know the exact number of spots that are taken, but Millican can host 200 people. I mean, he's just got a hell of a range staff there, and they can accommodate 200 people. And I think that we were only at about 110 before this COVID thing happened. And so everything stopped at that point. And we're gonna put it back up, and Ashida's the boss on this. He's the boss, but Ashida's gonna put it back up. He's gonna allow all the people who had invites to take their spot, and once they don't take their spot, it's gonna go out generally. So if you want to get in it, get on the website and sign up and get it. When that information will be forthcoming.
Cool. So Robbie will keep an eye on it, and we'll see what we can do. Sweet. Let's see.
Do you have more questions?
No, those are my live ones I had.
Okay. So let's see. Did we hit everything in 6? Did we talk about volleyball?
Yeah, I'm so excited we defined the term size of a volleyball.
All right, so here's the thing, man. Well, when we first started, we didn't have any sponsors. It was a brand new thing, and it's crazy how, I love Vortex Optics. That's my company. Nice hat, Greg. And it's really an honor when you get on and they announce a new product and they say, hey, we developed this scope specifically for NRL22. But when we started, and I was writing the course of fires all by myself, and I was writing the rules all by myself because we didn't know how this was going to go. My daughter plays volleyball, and there's this dude that lives in Oklahoma who's been carrying around a beanbag with him and using it as a positional bag. And I just didn't want this to become that. I think it's important to limit equipment to something that's attempting to be an entry-level deal. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking in my head, and by the way, I love this company, and they are one of our biggest supporters. Weebad. I love Weebad. So I'm sitting there and I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, hey, the biggest bag that I want to allow is the pump pillow, the Weebag pump pillow. And I'm looking at it, and my kid plays volleyball. That's about the size of a volleyball. So everybody wants to know, like, where the hell this come from? It's just because I'm not that inventive, not that creative. So, yeah. Anyway, the dimensions, I think it's 11 by 9 by 7 is the dimension of the pump pillow. So that's that.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't sports very well, like, at all. Like, I throw stuff backwards when I'm trying to throw it forward. So I was like, how big is a volleyball? I had to Google it. I was like, okay, I think my OG Game Changer is about that size. I think I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just the thing, man. That's kind of what I intended it to be, was just make a decision. And so many people get very literal about these things. Well, volleyball holds exactly this amount of cubic inches. I'm like, dude, it's not that big a deal, man. Just like make a decision and go with it. But,
as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not like IDPA where we have to take our gun and like, will it fit inside of this box here?
Well, hey, is that Crimson Cerakote?
No, this is a SIRT pistol.
That's my SIRT pistol.
It does lasers.
Oh. 'Cause I got a thing for crimson Cerakote, and I used to Cerakote, and so all my competition guns are that color. That's cool. But what the hell? Oh yeah, equipment bag size. On the rail mounted bag. So look, there's a bunch of different ones, right? There are bags like, for example, the Power Wedge from Blam Industries. It is one piece. It's a bag, and it has an Arca rail attached to it, and you really can't remove it. And then there's like the Coltac. Coltac has. Oh, look at her go. What you got?
Wait,
There you
that's
go.
new. What's that?
Fortune cookie.
Oh, Whiskey Charlie mini fortune cookie.
Ooh,
I just got it yesterday in the mail.
nice.
Nice.
Super excited.
Would you text somebody to bring that to you?
Yes, I have kids.
Ding.
I'm like, hey, bring mom my new shooting bag. And so
You ever have them get you a beer? Because I feel guilty about every time I have my kid give me a beer.
I mean,
Yes, she has. Multiple times you'll see a hand. You'll see this.
Ding. New beer. Anyway, so the rail mounted bag is a hell of a deal because, again, some of them make rails that are attached to a bag. Some of them, like the Coltac, I think I call it a backbone. It can be Velcro to different bags. And then there's the guy that started it all. Dave Preston has his Gray Ops plate, and then you got your bag that's the size of a volleyball or smaller. Now all these things basically do the same thing, right? They're all the same deal. Well, what we've come up with is you can have one piece of equipment. If you decide that your one piece of equipment is a rail mounted bag, then that's all you're allowed, and you cannot separate them. I mean, you can take that fortune cookie, and Janae did a video on it today, and we're going to attach it to the top of the Course of Fire so you understand what the rule means, and you can click on a button. Thank you, Dominic Thompson, for this idea. Click on a button at the information page, and you can watch her video explaining exactly what it is. But let's just say, for example, you start out and you say, my one piece of equipment is a rail-mounted bag. And now here's the step ladder. You start at the top, you go rail-mounted bag, rail-mounted bag, rail-mounted bag. You get to the bottom, you place the front of the rifle on the step of the ladder, and then you take that fortune cookie, put it on the rear end of your gun. You now have two pieces of equipment. That's not allowed. If you decided that your one piece of equipment is a rail-mounted bag, then it's a rail-mounted bag, and that's it. So that's how that's going to work. And I know that it took us a minute of debate to come up with it, but that's how it works. Does that make sense?
So, like, zip ties and zip ties, would that make the bag mounted?
No. It's you're being too literal, and I appreciate that question. You got a Gray Ops plate on your rifle. You have your bag. Take your bag, you put it on the step, put your rifle on it or the barricade, but it must be used like that. It's considered one piece of equipment. That plate, that bag is one piece of equipment, regardless if the plate and the bag are stuck together or if they're two separate units. But once you decide that's your piece of equipment, it's your piece of equipment for that stage. And that's not to mean that on the next stage you can't separate them and use your fortune cookie as your rear support for prone. That's fine. But on one specific Course of Fire, you may use one piece of equipment. And if you choose a rail-mounted bag, then that's it. You can't separate the two of them and use them as front and rear support. One piece of equipment, one way to go.
Okay.
Is that clear as mud?
No, that was actually very clear.
Yeah, that actually makes good sense.
Again, we got to, the second you start allowing some of these elite shooters the ability to show up and use any equipment they want, that score, that unobtainium score of 500 is out the damn window, dude. You give Paul Dallin the ability to use a tripod plus a front bag, he's going to mop the floor with all of us. So we can't do it. We got to keep this. We got to keep this supporting the kids, supporting the new shooters, supporting and challenging the more experienced shooters such as Jenny here.
On the equipment question, JC Boyd wants to know if barrel tuners are allowed.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I got it written in base class. We allow suppressors. I didn't read the specific base class rules. I told you what a pain in the ass the base class rules are.
I would imagine that I would imagine they're allowed in open because it's basic.
Oh,
Open is pretty much open, but I'm not
no,
sure about
no, you're
baseball.
absolutely right. And I just can't recall specifically barrel tuners because I've never even seen one personally, if they're
Nor
allowed
have
in
I.
base class or not. So I don't want to misspeak. I apologize.
But almost definitely open.
Absolutely.
Anything in open goes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's 22 long rifle
That's
and one
right.
piece of equipment.
So what's new in the NRL itself this year? The big guns.
Well, we spoke about the season change, which is the biggest thing. I'm not the director of match operations for that anymore. Scott Satterley is. He's doing a fantastic job with it. There's been matches who canceled and issued refunds. Idaho, that was like the first week of March, and those guys were put in a hell of a situation where they had already spent money on rental fees for different accommodations for the match, had put money down that they couldn't get back for food. So I think they had to keep like $75 of the sign up fee, but most of the rest of them were able to issue refunds. But again, the major thing with the center fire just comes back to COVID and how it's affected the league and basically everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's the major thing. And now the season's going to go from May to May, which again, I think is a way better deal for all the reasons that we talked about.
I agree. Need to get more matches out east.
Yeah. Hey man, I'll tell you what, we are an organization who supports our match directors. We're an organization who supports our shooters and make sure that our shooters have a good time. We can't have one without the other. We have to have match directors. If match directors want to step up and have the National Rifle League come east, we'd be happy to do that.
I tried so hard. The one I was like, oh, I always wanted to shoot at Rock Castle. Ooh, I always wanted to shoot NRL. Ooh, Rock Castle NRL, and then they went bankrupt. I registered.
Unfortunately,
that was sad.
Unfortunately, there's politics, man. It's
for Rock Castle, it was very sad. The whole
the
whole thing. What upcoming matches, projects, or goals do the NRL and you have? Like, tell us what's the next couple of matches coming up for NRL, and then do you have any projects or goals or matches coming up? What you shooting this year?
So as far as the NRL goes, the NRL22X opening up is, there's a lot of legwork that has to be done for it, so that we really got a lot focused on that. We already talked about the 2 matches that are coming up that are open for registration. There's a bunch more that are in the pipeline that are right after that. That's NRL22X, and then NRL22 is, the changes that we talked about. As far as the National Rifle League, Travis has his match schedule all worked out. For those that don't know, Travis attends every match. Travis films every match. And so because of those reasons, the National Rifle League remains extremely consistent because we have the president of the company at every single match. So that if something happens that goes sideways, the match director can consult with Travis and be like, hey man, how do we deal with this? And Travis is able to take his team. He's able to film every match. The poor guy has put back his wedding for like 3 years now because it always seems like something happens with the NRL schedule where he's got to push it back. And fortunately, his fiance Brittany Weldon is just that cool that she allows it. But as far as me personally, I've been shooting for like 9 years now, and I love it. I'll always love it. But I decided about 6 months ago that I was going to take some time off. And other than shooting NRL 22 with my middle daughter who loves it, I really haven't put my hands on a centerfire rifle other than the national championship. So I intend to keep taking a little bit of time off. I'm going to go shoot the national championship for NRL 22 in Tennessee. And then I'm going to keep shooting our local clubs with NRL 22 with my daughter. There's a couple NRL 22X matches I want to hit. Eric Severson's in California, Steve Lowe's in Arizona, Chris Tressler's in Arizona. I intend to go shoot those, but I've been just trying to kind of refocus my attention on my kids that I realize are kind of getting older by the day, and I'm not going to get this time back. So that's me.
That's very true. It is hard. I didn't start doing all of this traveling until mine were older, so I definitely get that. When they're little, it's hard to go and be gone for 4 days to a match. So
I do have a live question about the Centerfire NRL. Rod wants to know if they're considering the OG class at all.
Again, Scott Satterley, he's the Hefe over there. I gave that position up about 6 months ago. If it comes to demand, then absolutely. If that's what guys want, that's what we'll do. But the way that I kind of developed NRL was I didn't want to have a bunch of classes that had like 1 or 2 shooters show up to it. Mm-hmm. To me, that's pointless. I insisted in having a ladies class. I insisted in having a young guns class because that's what the National Rifle League was founded on. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay if we only get 3 or 4 young guns. I'd like to have 20. I'm okay if we have 3 or 4 ladies. I'd like to have 20, but it is what it is. And, my suggestion to Scott would be to never stop that. But at the same time, having like Frank Galley was so pissed at me for not having a 308 class. I'm like, bro, nobody shoots that class. This is in like 2016. I'm like, you get 2 people to show up and shoot 1 class. You're basically just engraving trophies for 1 guy. That's not fun. That's mm-hmm. not challenging. It's having a class for having a class. So the OG class was something that we wanted to do because if there's one thing that NRL22 is all about, it's all about participation. And mm-hmm. man, if you got a guy in a wheelchair, if you got a guy that's just his body's too creaky to get down and shoot, I don't care. Change the course of fire. Now it's in black and white. So as far as NRL goes, if there's enough numbers up there, then we'll absolutely do it. But my buddy Lynn Bigelow, he wanted the OG class to be 65 and above. So we looked at our membership. We found out there was like 43 dudes that were 65 and above, or I guess men and women. But when we dropped it down to 60, now all of a sudden we have 91, and that's way better. Now we got a reason to have another class. Mm-hmm. So it's 60. But we don't want to have, and that's why air rifle's not really working out like we thought. We got one guy here in town. He's a good shooter, but he shows up and gets first place every single time. That's not fun. So if there's a demand for it, we'll do it. But if not, I don't see it happening. But again, that's Scott Satterley's business, not mine.
Yeah, because if not, you'll end up like USPSA, where it's you're one guy that wants to win his class and go shoot limited 10. And, you got the 2 guys with revolvers, and it's just like,
yeah. Well, I did 25 years of racing motorcycles. So, you go to a motocross and then you go back, you'd race and you go back to school and you see that kid and he's like telling everybody how he won. He's like, I went and I won the whole thing. And you're like, dude, you won under 8 novice 50 class. And there was 2 of you. And so that always bothered me. I'm like, it's not what we do, like Allison Zane. Yeah, she was top young gun at last year's championship, but bro, she was third place. That's legit. I don't know. That's just kind of where my head's at. It's not for everybody.
I agree. We're a participation trophy society, and it gets crazy. Mm-hmm. You can debate that all night.
Yeah.
I would say someone did it over. Was it Ashton that came back with like 19 trophies after a match last week?
I don't know. I didn't see.
I want to. Nobody quote me on this, but I swear I saw like Ashton Glasscock won like top junior and top lady and like 3rd place or something at some match last weekend. That sounds like something she would do.
Man, I sure hope so, because so Janae's still, she's super hungry, man. She's hitting it. She's still hitting the matches. She doesn't have the time to practice like you properly should to shoot national level matches, but she's not missing the matches. I don't got to tell you guys how social my wife is.
No, not Janae.
So,
Hey, Janae.
I made her take the kids and get the hell out of here because we wouldn't be able to hear anything. But anyway, Janae started telling me about Ashton. Like, you got to meet Ashton. Ashton's great. I thought it was a dude. She's like, oh, me and Ashton were messing around, and she said this. I'm like, she said that. But anyway, I finally got to meet her at the national championship, and like Janae and Ashton might as well be like the same girl. You know, like Janae, Ashton's just half as young as her, but she's a good girl, man. I appreciate her. She's a good kid.
She is a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, you up?
Yep, I'm up. So a little bit earlier before we got on the show, I saw someone asking a question online about like, hey, I kind of want to start an NRL22 match. I want to be a match director. What do I do? Cool. And of course, the first thing was there was like 38 people that are like, yo, just message me. I'll help you out. Which is the most true thing about the match directors in this, because when I got into this, I think I messaged you and you're like, I'm going to add you to this group. Then all of a sudden I was talking to Dominic, who was helping me out, and a couple other people, and just it's really kind of like a brotherhood of match directors that are all there for each other. But like, if I'm wanting to start a match, what do I do?
No, it's a good question, and thanks for asking it. And man, you just said so much, and I think that's pretty true with precision rifle in general. If you're wanting to try precision rifle, dude, don't go buy anything. Just show up, and there will be 15 people falling all over themselves to let you shoot their gun, to let you look at their scope,
try my bag.
Whatever, it's just a fantastic community that way. And with the match director thing is same. And just like you said, people are they're so excited to get other people interested in their passion. But so if you're on Facebook, hop on the members page and say, I want to be a match director. And those guys will flag you towards our advisors page, NRL22 Advisors, which is basically a resource for match directors. I think you're on there, Greg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a good place. But past that, black and white print, NRL22.org/about/frequently asked questions. That's it. Everything that you need to know about starting a match is right there. And the long and the short of it is, we give you the course of fire. We tell you where to put the targets. We tell you when to use barricades, when to not use barricades. We have a standard target package, so there's no guessing on what sizes you need. You can buy it from us. There's a bunch of other companies that sell it. We have plans to make your own. Don't make that a limiting factor. And then there's a standard list of barricades that we use. Now, for the most part, those barricades, we put up part numbers for Home Depot. So you can just get on Home Depot and order those parts and use them for the barricades. We now have 2 that you got to construct with a roof prop and a tank trap, but we also have plans to put those together to make them easy. And you don't need all of them at the same time. Just, get on there, get your target package, look at the next month's course of fire, acquire those barricades, and then worry about the next barricades the next month and the next barricades the next month. I mean, something that, and this, I don't want to go like money with it, but something that nobody really talks about is it doesn't cost a whole lot to open up an NRL22 match. And
Not
then
at all.
You're able to show up and start putting on matches for people. And even if you only charge $10, you got 20 shooters. That's $200. You're going to pay off your target package. You're going to pay off your barricades. Sooner or later, you're going to have to start to get a little bit of money to pay Lapua their fee, So it's kind of cool that way.
Just if you're using your ladder, maybe use your old ladder, not your brand new ladder.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, look, my ladder, it's nice and sturdy. I'm going to go ahead and use this for our, I'm just going to bring this instead of using the old rickety one out at the range and going to loading it onto the trailer with the golf car. I'm like, and Jen's leaving, driving away. I'm like walking at her with a ladder. I'm like, look at this.
And I was like, yeah, no, I saw when he did it. Yeah, somebody shot it. They were on the back part of the ladder and they didn't account for where the scope is. And yeah, as soon as he did it, we're like, back up. Anyway, it was very funny. Just beware of your ladder. Maybe use an old one.
Yeah, well, now mine's old. It has a bullet hole in it.
It's not old. It just has character.
Yeah, character.
It'll still hold you as character. It has a story.
Have you seen my quarantine body? It might not hold me.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. But yeah, I'm pretty fat right now. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It is the easiest thing to do. You know, I work, I don't know how many hours a week at a full-time job, and travel shooting 2-day matches, and do this show, and all that other fun stuff, and I still have time to put on a match. It's super simple, especially when someone goes, here's a box of targets, give us a little bit of money for this, and then like, here's all your stages, just go put the things where little X's are. And if you get on that advisors page, there's plenty of people out there that, you know, you ask a question, you know, hey, how do I create a match and practice score? Someone will be like, oh, let me tag you in a post. Here you go. Watch this video. This is exactly how you do it. And it's just, okay, press there. Easy squeezy.
No, hang on, man. You just brought up something really cool. Practice score. So we got this guy on my NRL22 advisors team, and his name is Levi Sanderson. And this dude has been killing himself trying to get practice score on board. And I don't think practice score really realized how big the NRL22 is. Again, you know, we're averaging 50, 60, 70 matches a month. That's a lot. So once they realize that, and Levi's been pushing them, it sounds like he's got them all set up to basically have an NRL22 format. So thank you, Levi, and thank you, Practice Score. That should be coming soon. Super rad. So there's that.
Speaking of other cool apps, hold on, let me see if it's here. And did I download anything? Oh yeah. So the Ballistic Arc app. If you have this, you can press it, and you can go online and download stuff. Oop, let's see if I can do this backwards. And there's all of your stages for the match on the app. So you can go here, get all of your holds for every stage, depending on which rifle you're using. You don't even have to enter stuff into a Kestrel or anything fancy like that.
Geoballistics, baby.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are we good on live? Do we have more live?
I have some live. Hold on. Let's see. Boyd wants to know. He said both his daughter and I got an invite to the NRL22 Nationals. Can I get on the website and add both entries to the cart so I could pay for them both, or do I need to do a purchase for each spot?
Okay, so let's go back to Ty is computer stupid. Okay, let's just rewind to that. I'm really not the guy to answer that question, but what I do know that what we've been having a difficult time with is there are people who have been putting, like, they're signing up for membership and they're getting like 3 of them, like a guy, his wife, his kid. They're getting 3 memberships and they put it all on the same sign up information. So it's the same email, it's the same name, and we're getting memberships that are bumping back with people saying, hey, I didn't get my membership number. So I don't know this to be the case, but my suspected answer to that question is you should probably do it individually.
That would probably make sense with what I've seen. So based on other things that I've done on the website, I'd probably do it individually as well. So,
I'm going to make a note right now and have Travis put something on the website that says do this individually. So.
I mean, that is true. Probably NRL22 is probably the biggest one that has like families joining, like, you know, mom, dad, and kid. I know we had a couple of families that came and shot at our match. So I think it's probably more prevalent in the NRL22 than any of the other sports.
Well, thank God for that, man. I'll tell you what, nothing makes me happier than getting on Facebook on Monday and looking at the NRL22 membership page and just seeing people put up posts of their match with their kids shooting, and that's rad. You know, we're all 2A people. We all believe in it, but if we don't take kids out shooting, it's going to go away. You know, it's one of the most important things you can do is take a kid shooting. So thank you for everybody putting up those pictures. You have no idea how happy it makes me. Keep taking your kids shooting.
That's awesome. Any more live, or are we good on live?
I just got back on here and I'm looking back through. I believe we are good on live.
All right, I think we can wrap this one up. I think we've about exhausted everything out of Ty's brain. We've sucked it dry. So we'll wind it down to shout outs. Greg, we'll let you start.
All right. First, shout out to Zoom Bait Company for giving Team TSM an awesome place to stay over the weekend at this next match. Shooters and Sharpshooters of Augusta, our local ranges here. They are still open, social distancing friendly, and have lots and lots of ammo. PDC Custom, if you want your rifle to look as beautiful as mine, lime green is available. They also have like normal boring colors, but if you want lime green, they also have that. NDZ Performance, if you want to build a really sweet Gucci Glock. Phone Scope, Shooter's World Propellant. There's still no such thing as a powder shortage if you shoot their powder, just saying. Hunter's HD Gold, it's kind of like x-ray vision for your eyes. Well, not really x-ray. I've tried. It doesn't work that good, but you can see stuff a lot better with them. They're also available in both prescription and bifocal lenses. Vortec, if you're still stuck at home, you should go and clean your rifle. It's probably dirty. GSL suppressors, if you want to be civilized and not deafen your shooting buddies, please get one. And that's all I got.
Ty, you got some shout outs?
I do. I appreciate the opportunity. So first off, Greg, Jen, you guys are some of my match directors. Just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to all of my match directors. Without you guys, this doesn't go down. The next thing is my team, my NRL22 team, our NRL22 team. Starts off with Lynn Bigelow. Man, I went and stayed at this guy's house to bounce some ideas off of him and participate in the Springville 22 marksmanship match and get some ideas about NRL22. Thank you, Lynn. Still helps me out every day. All these guys help write courses of fire. They help me with the rules. I heavily lean on them. If you ever get to meet them, please shake their hand and tell them thank you. The next two guys, Mike Millican and Eric Severson and Travis Walla. Those guys have been helping me out for like 3 years now, writing course of fires. Listen to me cry. These guys have just had my back. Really appreciate you guys. Two newer guys within the last year, Dominic Thompson and Levi Sanderson. These guys they're just killing themselves, man. They're writing course of fires, good information, and just tireless in their help. Past that is the NRL team. Brittany Weldon. This woman does not get the attention she deserves. First off, she's a beautiful woman, and she refuses to get in front of the camera. She's always behind it. She takes no credit for anything that she does, and without her, the NRL22 or NRL would not exist. My partner, Travis Ashita, he's the president. He's the boss. Supports everything that I do. Awesome guy. Nick Lopez is our media guy. Nick, I kind of have a bromance with Nick. Like, he's just cool, man. Like, if I wasn't married, I might look Nick up. I'm just saying. And then my beautiful wife, Janae, who I am married to. Love you. Thank you for backing me up on everything. That's what I got. Appreciate you guys having me on.
That's awesome. All right. Shout outs on my end. Prime Ammunition, McMillan for beautiful stocks, GSL Suppressors for keeping me civilized.
Thank you.
HD Gold for keeping me able to see, because I do have prescription shooting glasses, which are awesome. Night Force Optics, Warren Scope Mounts and Bipods, Under Industries, Shooters of Augusta and Sharpshooters of Augusta, Vortec for keeping my rifle clean, and Phone Scope. Had to think about the last one. So that will wrap us up for the episode 296 of Shooter's Mindset. And I appreciate you coming on, Tyler, and talking with us for, almost 2 hours and helping get the word out about NRL 22. And everybody needs to go and find a club and shoot some. So with that, we are out of here.